Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Franchise Empire newsletter live. Kevin, good to see you.
Hey, how are you?
I am doing fantastic, and I'm about to share my screen so that we can all see the goods. And thanks for everyone's patience. I know we started just a few minutes late. Better late than never. All right, so today we are talking about a low-cost franchise showing sales of 2.7 million. That's for owners with 3 or more territories. We'll dive into the specifics of the numbers. We're going to talk about a franchise resale with 12-month revenue of 2.64 million. We're going to talk about someone who was tired of the corporate grind and found a home run franchise thanks to Kevin and the team. And we're also going to it's actually 6. Well, no, we're going to talk about 4 recession franchise business breakdown. That's actually a podcast episode that we did. So hello, Mark from Florida, and what's up, Harry from Texas. Thanks for joining us. We'll dive right in. Kevin, tell us about this resale.
Yeah, so both franchises we're covering today, as you alluded to in the teaser, are pretty well established franchises. I would say within their category, they might be the leaders. So this is Express Employment Professionals. We've talked about them before, but they are the largest staffing franchise in America, and they're actually international as well. I think they have over 1,000 units total and about 800 in North America. So they provide temporary staffing services to small and medium-sized businesses. They can do like permanent placements as well, and then they do all different types of categories. So like professional jobs, all the way to skilled trades, industrial, and administrative type jobs. So they're definitely, again, the industry leader in terms of a staffing franchise. This particular resale is in West Palm Beach, Florida. So West Palm is just north of Boca Raton. It's a pretty big territory. I've seen the map for this particular resale, but this location started in 2021, so it's pretty new. The last 12 months of revenue was 2.64 million. And then they have an asking price of 325,000. That is based on a seller discretionary earning of last year of 97,000. So it's a little over 3 times multiplier. It might be a bit high, but it's a pretty solid franchise system. We'll get into the overall franchise system's numbers here in a minute, and it's in a really good territory. There's 3 employees on staff. I imagine those are on the recruiting side of the business. So typically in this business, the franchise owner is going to do a lot of business development, networking, getting their name out there, building relationships, getting contracts with employers to fulfill their staffing needs. And so this one's got employees on staff. In the territory, they have close to 43,000 different businesses, which is kind of crazy. So a lot of different types of industries. It's a big pool. So this one is a lot about grit and hustle and getting out there and knocking on doors and getting your name out there and building those relationships with business owners. So if that's appealing to you, this might be a pretty great business to step into. If we look at the numbers overall for the franchise, they have a really strong item 19. So when you look at franchise locations that have been open for more than 60 months, that's 418 units. Their average annual sales were 7.19 million, which is very high. So you look at this one kind of falls into that category, but it is significantly lower average annual sales than their system wide. So, based on those numbers, it appears there's a pretty significant opportunity to grow this one. A lot of their owners do not have a background in staffing or recruiting. 90% do not. They really want people, again, that are comfortable doing that sales role, as well as like the networking of it, and just understand overall business, have overall business acumen. And then let's see, you do have to make a difference in your community. You're employing a lot of people. You might have people on your payroll that are looking for an opportunity and just have had a hard time finding the right path for them. So, you are helping the people find the right opportunity for themselves, as well as like fulfilling staffing needs for small and medium-sized businesses that, they can't afford to have their own HR department or recruiting branch of their company. They're just not big enough, or, they don't have enough bandwidth to manage that. So that's the overview for Express. I guess, what would you add to this, Tarek? I think you're on mute.
I don't usually mute myself here, but thanks for that breakdown. I thought it was pretty interesting. I think this is like these are one of those rare opportunities to me. This is a franchise with, over 798 units in the US, where it's like trying to find a new territory is nearly impossible. I mean, there's just not like really any left, or many. And so I think, for someone, if you're in the West Palm market, or, sometimes people want to relocate, I think it's a unique opportunity, where there's people that probably want to be in this franchise system, but just because there's nothing available in their area, they can't. So I think when a resale like this comes around, I think it's a pretty hot opportunity. That's my personal take on it. And so some of you guys might be asking, because this threw me off for a while in the beginning, is that it's like, hold on, how's it doing 2.64 million, but they're only producing $97,000? And it's because this is a staffing business model. This accounts for like I think the total payroll revenue, essentially, but the franchisees only actually get to keep about somewhere around 40%. Is that what it is?
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
Somewhere around 40%. So basically strip out 60% of that revenue, and then that would lead to what? That would be about $1 million. So about $1 million, maybe. And so that's why the numbers look the way that they do. And so something to keep in mind, even when looking at these numbers. But still, if you said, okay, this business is a 7-figure business, that's a pretty good business to hit the ground running with overall. And then everything else Kevin said. So for those of you, and I think you froze, Kevin. Maybe it's just on my side. For those of you who are, number one, actually, first, like for those of you who are watching, I think most of you are already on our email list. But if you want, like, this whole email, and I have a whole blurb that I put in here every week. But for those of you who want to make sure that you get this in your inbox on Sunday mornings, you can go to franchiseempire.com/newsletter. It's the ticker scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and we'll send this to you for free every Sunday. And for those of you, if you're interested, if you're in the Florida market, I see we got a few people from here in Florida. And hello to Kevin from Tampa. We got Mark in Florida somewhere. But yeah, if you're in the Florida market and kind of around that Palm Beach area overall, and you're interested in this resale, or you're interested in relocating, then you can go to franchiseempire.com/resales and enter your info there. You'll be able to set up a call with our team to either inquire about this specific franchise, or to be able to see what franchises are available in your area. On to one of our recent clients. So I'll kind of give the brief recap, and then Kevin can dig in, because Kevin's the one that worked with Ryan. But basically, Ryan was a client that came to us who was tired of the corporate grind, and knew he wanted to do something for himself, but really didn't know how to make the leap, and even if it was possible. And he did wind up enrolling in our Zero Profitable Franchise System, which is our proprietary system, and how we work with clients, not just with the franchise brokerage process, but providing a whole online curriculum. We have a community. It's pretty epic. It's essentially a mastermind. But Kevin, what other context can you give of like Ryan coming in, like with the challenge he was facing, and then how you and the team ultimately helped him like land on the right opportunity?
Yeah, Ryan was awesome to work with. He is also an avid pickleball player like myself, so we hit it off about our pickleball abilities. But so he came to us. He just didn't like super sharp guy, just a great guy, very successful in his career. But he always knew he wanted and could do something more and like it for himself, but he just didn't know what he didn't know. Like he didn't know if he could actually go into something full time and be able to afford that. He didn't know what type of opportunities were out there. And he actually started in like a lighter version of our program and then, ascended and enrolled into our full version to get access to our entire system and the community and everything. So he saw a lot of value from that. But when we started going through his like specific financials and his situation and income goals, like, his initial thought was he was going to try to do something semi-passively. And I think, he quickly realized he could jump into something full time, if it was the right fit, and which was pretty revealing and awesome in a lot of ways because that opens up a lot more opportunities. He was also open to different markets than where he lived. He was willing to relocate, so that was interesting, and I was able to look at several different markets for him and search out the right opportunity, not necessarily so much focus on just his specific market. So we were able to find literally like one of like my favorite franchises. It's a garage door repair franchise, and I know that sounds lame, but it's a very good franchise. And it was one of their, I think they only have like 8 remaining territories in their entire country that are open. So he was able to, start validation with that one as well as another really strong franchise. Ultimately, he went with the garage door repair franchise. He's going to relocate him and his wife to this new market. In the validation process, he interviewed or talked to one of the more successful owners in the entire system. And they're going to be neighbors, which is going to have a lot of benefits for him, even like from a mentoring standpoint, as well as like expanding in the future potentially for acquiring some of his territory. So it was just like the perfect situation played out. He was just a great guy to work with. I'm very excited and happy for him. He's going to kill it. The franchisor, again, it's a really, really great franchise. They called and they said, "Thank you so much for sending him our way. He's a perfect fit." So you don't always get all those boxes checked, but this one was awesome. So I'm excited for him. That was probably more than what you were asking for, but
No, that's epic. That was epic. I didn't know a lot of that which is really cool. I didn't realize, and maybe I just spaced out in a previous conversation, but I didn't realize he had actually relocated for it, which is pretty cool.
yeah, for sure. So his, which is a big thing, and his wife, which is awesome, and credit to the two of them. They talked through it, and they're, she was like, "Let's do it. Let's make the leap." And so, again, not everybody can do that, but I like to, like, I always tell people when I first start working with you, please don't hold anything back. Like, I want to know and be real with me, like I want to know what are all the possibilities and what all, just so I can understand. Cause without having that conversation, I would have just pigeonholed ourselves into that specific market and we wouldn't have found this opportunity. So, it's just really important to dive in deep with everybody and understand their specific situation and financials and all that. And, like I said, he didn't really know for sure if he could go full time, and that's just impact. He's gonna crush this business. I mean, like I'm very excited for him.
That's so cool. That's so epic. I love that. I really love it. And yeah, the quality of the conversation and the process. We often have clients that wind up working with us that have worked with, previous franchise brokers in the past. And we recently had a post on LinkedIn that was developed a little bit of controversy uh, with, but obviously, like I believe very strongly in our brokerage team. And I think it's like anything you do. There are people that are like top of the field and like just a completely different experience to work with, and you realize why they're the best of the best. And I think, Kevin, what you're just saying is a testament to that, right? Because how easy would it have been to just pigeonhole that conversation? Actually, talking to Liz and Dean, when I did the podcast with them, Liz and Dean were a couple that came through our system as well, wind up buying a really robust resale that was doing about $2 million a year in sales. And I mean, they had shared with me that they weren't really open to resales initially. And they had worked with some other brokers. And then when they came in, like the way you had the conversation with them kind of around the opportunity and kind of, presented it opened their mind to it a little bit, when at first they were like, no, that's really not something we want to do. And the point I made, because I think they said that maybe someone they had worked with, one of the brokers they had worked with in the past, had maybe thrown around the idea of a resale, but the trust wasn't there. They didn't like fully trust that person. And to me, it's a really powerful point of, because this process is so sensitive, right? It's such a big life-changing decision that you could get the same advice from two people, take it completely different when you feel like the relationship is built on trust. When
Mhm.
you feel like you can trust that person, it's heard in a different manner. And so, anyways, that's my rant. Well done, Kevin. All right, franchise of the week.
Okay, yeah, this is one of Tarek's favorite ones. It's called Budget Blinds. So it is a window treatments franchise. Again, like we're not all about like the sexy, industries. We want to promote things that are profitable and money making, and so this is one of them. Budget Blinds. It's been around for a long time, since 1994. They have over 1,300 franchise units, which is kind of crazy. Very much falls into the same category as the staffing one, where it's pretty difficult to find open territories, but they're so huge now. They do have a decent amount of good resale options, which is awesome. And occasionally we can find like open territories, but Budget Blinds is the leader in the like a leader in the home services franchise industry overall. They are the leader and probably top franchise in terms of window treatments. So they do like blinds, shades, shutters. They do everything from residential and commercial work. So this one, the total investment isn't bad. It's between 100,000 and 210,000. You can start this one from a home or a small office. You don't need a showroom or anything like that. Very low overhead and risk to start. Most of the owners will start out using subcontractors to do the actual installation of the products for your customers. So you keep your payroll very low. It can just be you as an owner doing sales, and you can get ramped up pretty quickly. The margins on these products or projects, and Tara can probably allude to this as well, is they're pretty strong, because the cost of goods sold for you as a franchise owner is not super high. And these are like 1 to 2 day installations. So it's a quick payment from the customer. They have everything from like, the Alexa controlled blinds all the way to the basic, blinds that you can install for a customer. This is a very well-known brand name. They spend a lot of money on collective advertising for their franchise network. Let's see, I already kind of touched on low overhead. There are a lot of resales available, because when you have over 1,300 units throughout North America, you're going to naturally have some resales that pop up, which are great. We've helped 2 people buy resales in the franchise empire community within Budget Blinds. So yeah, really good franchise. Did we talk about we didn't talk about the item 19 yet, did we?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. I like how they break it down too. So they show average sales by territory. So when you read through an FDD, make sure you're understanding the language here. So it's, a lot of times a franchise will say average sales by a franchisee. Well, you don't really understand how many territories that includes. A franchisee could have 3 territories. So it's good to understand, like, okay, for each individual territory that I could acquire, what can I expect in terms of average sales? So for one territory, it's just under 800,000 last year. If you bump it up and get 2 territories, it goes to 1.2 million. And then you can see here, if you get 3 territories or more and grow a big business, you can really, scale it pretty significantly. So I think, Tarek, you have a friend that owns like multiple territories, right? And they do multi-million.
Yeah, and I think I can finally say this because the deal finally closed. But so him and his business partner, and I've had him on the podcast. They own 5 territories out in kind of the San Diego market. They just bought and did a major acquisition of the like entire Palm Springs market in California.
Oh,
So
damn.
they're in the process of integrating it. It's a few hours apart, but it's a major, pretty significant acquisition. I was just texting with Adam the other day. So yeah, yeah, pretty cool, and he feels pretty confident and bullish about the opportunity.
Nice. Yeah. What did I miss here in terms of the franchise or?
Yeah, I mean, I like, part of why I like budget blinds is so the franchises we covered this week are what I would call blue chip. You know, the challenge with blue chip and the challenge with these two franchises is you're the odds are of you getting a new territory or slim to none. So it's like, well, why would you guys show it? Well, number one, there is a little bit of territory left and maybe some odd markets. But and one of the things that's really made us different is the resales, like Kevin has said. Didn't one of someone in our community buy an express resale, or was it a different? He bought a new What was it? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he bought a new territory. It
O-
wasn't resale, but I mean, there are these. Like, I just did a territory check for a new client in the Newark area, and there's a territory available for him. So, I mean,
with express.
yeah, a new territory. Yeah. So, I mean, it is possible. It's just more unlikely than like an emerging brand, of course.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, I'm a big fan of budget blinds. Part of it because I've got a good buddy. I know how successful he's been in it. He's also probably the type of guy that's going to succeed in anything that he does. But budget blinds is a unique business where what happens is there's some of these older territories that people have been in them 5, 10, 15 years. Because I would say they slightly underperform because budget blinds, part of what they've been known for or what's common with their franchisees is like a husband and wife duo, where like the wife may have been the one that does sales and the husband did like the installs, and maybe they had like another kind of part-time installer. And so you've got some of these kind of legacy franchisees who don't want to grow big, and
Mm.
they're fine with it kind of being a lifestyle business, and just kind of making six figures and being comfortable. But then you also have got these people that like my buddy Adam, who now I don't even know how many territories they bought in the pump, but I mean he already had 2 other territories in Nashville, so he's going to be at over 10 territories now with this franchise system, and he's building an empire. I mean, they have a machine. I mean, they have a general manager, they have sales managers, whole team of salespeople, full-time installers. Like, they have built something epic. And so what I think is cool is that, yeah, there are all these potential resale, options that are out there, that could be, a great opportunity. The other part is you may look at go, why did their sales decline from 2022 to 2023? And basically I would take that all as the COVID bump. Like, there were so many people that were home getting like work done in their house, and
Mm.
their sales went kind of parabolic. So I think that was it kind of coming, more down to the norm. But I mean, when you really look at the actual investment it takes to get in the business, like the sales to investment ratios are still like pretty darn attractive. And you can kind of build this business kind of as big as you really want it to be or as small as you want it to be. So um anything else to add there, Kev?
No, I think that's good.
So for those of you who want to find out if this franchise is oh, hold on. Do we do resale first? Yeah, this is new. Okay. I'm all thrown off here. So if you want to check and see, I mean, there are some territories still left with budget blinds, but if you want to check and see if this is available, you go to franchiseempire.com/check territory. That will lead to you scheduling a 15-minute call with our team. And or you just, maybe you're like, I'm not interested in budget blinds, but I'd like to know what sort of opportunities are available for me based on my skill set, based on my budget. Be prepared to have a conversation. By the way, this isn't a transactional process where we just push a button to check for you. This is a conversation of, tell us about your goals. What's your financial situation? What's your budget? What are you doing now? What's your skill set? We're not going to just run a list of 25, 50 franchises. The idea is it for it to be a relational conversation to be able to do this. All right. And so I just want to set that expectation, because I think some people sometimes book these calls like, yeah, just push the button, tell me what's available. Like, look, like, we're busy, you're busy, we're busy too. Okay. So this is a two-way street. If you're coming not vested into like putting energy yourself into this process, then don't schedule a call. Like, we want to work with people that they're willing to actually put energy into the process, or else you're going to waste your time and ours. So if you feel like, hey, this is something like, yeah, I'm ready to fill out a net worth sheet, I'm ready to do a 5-minute behavioral assessment so I can actually understand checks that are pertain to you as an individual, because we don't have a cookie cutter process, it takes a little bit more energy. So that's my spiel, laying down the law.
I like it. Yeah.
It's funny. We just had a meeting on that sales meeting. Kevin and Julio and Renee were just, we were kind of dissecting the styles, and Renee was like, I'm a little bit more in your face and a little bit more kind of pushy, aggressive, and and then Julio's like, obviously he's like super smooth. He has a very like laid back. And so I was like, Renee, it's all good, man, because that's me too. I'm like super aggressive. I'm real direct. So it's like we all got our strengths and weaknesses. And when you guys chat with Kevin, although internally he may say different, you can obviously tell that he's the more composed, uh, more mature, one of the two. So,
Well,
but I will tell you like it is.
unless you talk to my wife, she would argue otherwise. But sure, we'll go with that. That's fine.
All right, guys. Last but not least, actually. Oh, yeah. No, this is it. No. Okay, I wrote the wrong one then. I wrote about recession proof. So these were not recession proof. This was actually a live that Kevin and I did together, talking about the pros and cons of buying a resale. So we talked a lot about resales today. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Not everyone should buy a resale, by the way. I think you should go check that episode out. I want to start like blurting out a bunch of things now, but I'm going to save it for you. But I think there's some really interesting points that Kevin and I talk about in this episode, where if you've ever considered buying a resale, you really need to watch this episode. In order to do that, we have a separate YouTube channel for the Franchise Empire Show. Just type in the Franchise Empire Show into YouTube, and you'll be able to see the channel. Go subscribe there. Or you can watch it wherever you digest podcast. And what was I going to say there? You can also go, if you get this email, you can also just go and just click on the link in the email, and it'll take you right to the video. So anything else to part with, Kev?
Yeah, I would add on to the resale tidbit here. So we were talking about constantly learning earlier this morning in our meeting, but I have learned quite a bit. My wife is a business broker. I've talked about that before. I've learned about how businesses are valued, and not only from the buyer and seller's point of view, but also the bank's point of view. And one thing I've learned is that you really have to be careful, like when the opportunity was listed, in between like when that listing date is and those the asking price was formulated, into like when you're actually going to close, which can be a long time after, several months. And the bank wants to see those, like rolling the past 6 months financials for the sale, because that will affect their willingness to lend. It's not just up to the point of like when they formulated the asking price and listed it. So it's like, the moral of the story is, if a resale is starting to tank, like, and you've only reviewed the last year's financials, not the last few months, it can have an impact at the end. Like, she's seen deals fall through because of that, where the owner has like let the financials of the business tank in recent months, and it's lowered the value, and they're not accounting for that. So, there's just a lot of things. Like, it can be very complex in terms of resale. So I always, when I work with people, I'm like, get ready. This can be an emotional roller coaster. You just have to expect the unexpected, and things might pop up. So, but they can be awesome opportunities, but you might get into it and realize, this is a shitty opportunity and not for me. So, it's I don't know what the point of that was. It's just like I've learned recently, like it's important that the financials are staying even par for the most part until the point of sale.
I think it's a brilliant point, and the piggyback that'll make on that is the cool thing about a resale is the bank is like, assuming you're buying one that shows profits, the bank's doing the due diligence for you. The
Mhm.
bank's not going to approve it if it's a bad deal.
Yeah.
Like if the numbers don't make sense, they're not going to approve it. So if the bank approves it, the numbers make sense. That's the cool thing. What's funny is I kind of learned that mindset from Grant Cardone. Although he's a little bit crazy and wild. He talked about in real estate, he's like, I want to get something under contract right away. He buys apartment buildings. He's like, because I got the whole underwriting team at the bank. They're gonna vet the deal for me.
Yeah.
They're literally gonna vet the deal for me. And I was like, oh wow, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
So
It's super interesting how that all works. Cause I mean, the bank is motivated to do a loan for you. Obviously, they want to get your business, but they also have, especially nowadays, they have pretty stringent restrictions on that. So yeah, it's definitely a complex process. I would not recommend going into a resale on your own. I would recommend getting some sort of help and an advisory role, which we do. But if you don't work with us, work with somebody else.
facts.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Kevin. We'll see you
Okay.
guys on the next one. Peace
Talk.
out.
Bye.